Okay, so the best technique that I've seen for helping kids do percentages of things is what's known as the 1% method. And I'm going to walk it through, and it starts out something like this. I have two shapes. They're the same exact shape, except this one has been broken into 100 little pieces, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So it's the same thing, only it's broken into 100 pieces. So if I tell you that the entire box is 100, then each little piece, each of the 100 must be one each. So 1% of the 100 is 1. Okay, so then I tell them, let's get rid of that, delete. And I say, well, what if it were 200? If it's 200, then every single one of these little boxes would be 2 each. I got to divide it into 100 little sections, so each one would be 2. So 1% of 200 is 2. So then like you do 300 and it's 3, 400 and it's 4, and so on. And they start to see that, okay? And all you're finding is that tiny little piece. Now, at some point they're going to say, okay, well, what if it's not such an easy number? For example, what if the number was 350? Well, let's think about it. If it was 300 broken into 100 little boxes, each one would be 3. If it were 400 broken into 100 little boxes, each one would be 4. So we are actually at 350, which is halfway in the middle. So halfway in the middle here is 3.5. So that means that each of these little boxes is 3.5. So that 1% of 350 is 3.5. Let me do one more, even more challenging number. Delete. And do something like this. What if it was like 375? So again, 300 would be 3, 400 would be 4. So we're going to be between in 3 and 4, but we're at 375, which is 3.75. So the 1%, each one of these would be 3.75 each. Now, what's going to happen is, let's go back. So you establish how to do that. That's kind of like the first part. Can they take a quantity and find out what 1% is? And then I like to go back to some easy ones, and I say something like this. So let's go back to let's not be too easy, let's do 200. Okay, so for 200, each one was 2. But that's only 1%. What if I wanted to know 2%? Well, 2% would be 2 of the boxes, it would be 4. What's 3%? Would be 6. 4% would be 8. 5% of the 200, each one's worth 2, that would be 10. Okay, so basically the idea is, the trick is you always find 1%, and then you multiply it by whatever percent you're trying to do. For example, like in America, or in I don't know all the exact ones, but it's 7% sales tax. So if it was a $200 item, 1% of that's 2. So then it would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. 7% would be $14. If you sold something for $200, the tax would be $14. So basically you find 1%, and then you multiply that times the amount that you want to do. Let's say it was a $200 tab at a restaurant, and we want to give a 15% tip. So what I would do is find 1%, which is 2, and then I can do 15 of them, which would be $2 would be $30. That would be standard tip for a $200 bill, $200 charge at a restaurant. So the idea is, it's called the 1% method. You teach them how to find the 1% really quick. I usually start off pretty easy like this. I think I'm going to make separate videos to show you how the progression goes, but that's how it starts. And from there, we'll get a little more challenging. So stop.